She'd been mistaken for a soldier, but repeated a warning that all associates of the British military should consider themselves targets. The killing's the latest in a series of attacks on army units in Germany, and security's being tightened at all bases.
Death came quickly in a quiet German street. Heidi Hazel died when she was trapped by gunmen in her car and sprayed with bullets as she desperately tried to get away. Police say 3 men carried out the attack. The one who fired the Kalashnikov was dressed in army fatigues and wearing a beret, as if he was a British soldier. Afterwards, the gang escaped in a car driven at high speed. This morning, it was clear just how desperately Mrs. Hazel had tried to evade her killers. She'd reversed her Saab frantically until it crashed into a tree. After that, there was no escape. A massive West German police investigation is now underway. The dead woman was herself German, mistaken in the darkness for a soldier. But that cut no ice with the IRA. Their statement admitting to the killing said they'd warned last year that anyone associated with the British Army in Germany was a legitimate target. Now there are heightened fears for wives and children of other British troops based there after a series of attacks. The Army won't discuss what action, if any, it's taking, but it's certain yet another review of security has begun.
Criticised because, as with many military establishments in Britain, it was guarded by a private security firm and not by trained soldiers.
This latest IRA attack on British servicemen was specifically aimed at a soft target, a low-security marine music school in Kent, housing recruits as young as 16, all hoping for careers as military musicians. Their only other training is as medics. The massive explosion demolished the recreation centre in the middle of the barracks. Dozens of teenagers lining up for breakfast were buried under huge concrete slabs as the building collapsed on top of them. Emergency rescue services spent the day pulling the dead and injured from the rubble. Heavy lifting equipment was brought in, but much of the work had to be done by hand. Many locals living near the base claim there's hardly any security at the barracks. It would have been easy for the IRA to get in and plant the bomb.
I mean, we sit in our lanes, we see people climbing over the walls at night.
Nearby residents told of how the building seemed to lift into the air then collapse in on itself, while windows and doors all around the neighbourhood were blown out. For nearly 20 years, British servicemen have been victims of bomb attacks in England. In 1981, bandsmen were killed in Regent's Park, while in the same year, soldiers and horses were killed by a car bomb in Hyde Park. And last year, military barracks at Mill Hill in North London were bombed. There's been widespread outrage at this latest attack from all sides of the political and religious fences.
The real evil of these murders is that the people who commit them, the godfathers who send them to commit them, know that they actually will achieve nothing.
In the small coastal town of Deal, the young soldiers were very much a part of the community. Already flowers have been left at the gate of the barracks. Small consolation, though, for the young lives that have been lost as the Irish problem continues to overflow onto English soil. Liam Giori reporting for the Network News.
But the man who owns this house, which directly overlooks the scene of devastation, probably met and chatted with the 3 IRA men who caused it. Tonight, detectives from Scotland Yard's anti-terrorist squad left London for Corsica to interview the owner, retired businessman Dennis Johnson. He's presently on holiday there. As the search continues for the tiniest fragments of the bomb, detectives hope that Mr. Johnson will be able to identify the 3 men with Irish accents who've been renting his house the week previously. They are now the chief suspects.
Meanwhile, the Duke of Edinburgh, who's Captain General of the Royal Marines, has visited the bombed base and the injured, and he's vowed that the IRA will not win through its campaign of terror.
The Duke, as Captain General of the Royal Marines, joined police and forensic experts at the spot where the IRA killers left their bomb. Escorted by the head of Scotland Yard's anti-terrorist squad, Prince Philip was fully briefed on the latest information and evidence. As he inspected the murder scene, the work continued around him to search for vital clues. Outside the barracks main gate, the Duke inspected dozens of floral tributes before visiting 3 local hospitals to meet survivors of the bomb blast. Afterwards, Prince Philip gave ITN his reaction to the bomb outrage.
Senseless. One simply wonders what sort of mentality can even contemplate such nonsense. It's appalling.
Meanwhile, throughout this Kent town, memorial services were held for the victims.